The Carl B. Phillips Show.
Hosted by me, Carl B. Phillips, Uncle Carl.
The Carl B. Phillips Show.
Get ready for another great conversation on the Carl B. Phillips Show. All right. Welcome to the Carl B. Phillips Show. I am Carl B. Phillips, Uncle Carl, and today I'm hanging out with one of my real nieces. I've known her all of her life. Her name is Briana Donaldson. She is an American Christian music singer, songwriter, recording artist, and worship leader. She is a graduate of the University of Michigan, and she is a certified life coach. Please welcome to the Carl B. Phillips Show, my niece, Briana Donaldson. Yay!
Hello, Prove Me Gospel Radio and Carl B. Phillips Show.
What's going on, Bri? How are you today?
I'm feeling good. I have just so much to thank God for on today, and truly it's been good to me. I'm sure we're going to get into it in this interview.
We're most definitely going to get into it. Now, before we start, Briana doesn't believe that I've never seen The Lion King. Tell me why I need to watch The Lion King and talk about your favorite scene from The Lion King.
You need to watch The Lion King mostly because it is probably the most emotional movie that Disney Studios put out in the early days. But my favorite scene in The Lion King is in the very beginning, and it is when Simba first has his reality check with life,
Wow.
so to speak. But I will say too, I do love the song Hakuna Matata, but I also love the sentiment of Hakuna Matata. No worries.
So how do you pronounce that? Hakuna Humana?
Hakuna Matata.
Again, what does that mean?
It means no worries for the rest of your days. And that's how the song goes.
Okay, moving on. I guess I still need to watch it. We're supposed to have an uncle and niece day where we sit down and
Yes.
watch. So we need to go to a beach somewhere we can do that.
Yes,
somewhere.
we do.
Yeah,
Somewhere
a
warm.
resort somewhere warm, and where it's really nice, and we can just watch the movie
With good food.
Good food and a lot of water, a lot of waves. I
Yes.
have known you all of your life. Your father
Yes.
is my best friend. Your mother and I have worked together at our home church, Greater Christ Temple, for over 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
You come from a rich legacy of singers. Your mom and dad are singers. Both of your grandmothers were singers. Both sides of your family is full of singers. Did you feel any pressure growing up about being a singer?
No, I didn't feel any pressure because it was just the norm for me. It was just normal life, to be in a household where everyone sang, doing the dishes, getting ready to leave the house, whatever we were doing in the car. That's what we did. We sang. And so, because it was just like a part of life for me, I didn't feel that pressure at all. I felt really excited to be a part of the music ministry in our church.
Well, that leads me to our next question. What are some of your fondest memories of growing up singing in church?
I would say my fondest memories are the times that I've had the opportunity to sing some high energy songs with our youth choir, and even just opportunities to be around other members of the choir who were older than me, who I admired because of not just their walk with Christ, but also the fact that they were using their gift in this capacity, and we were seeing them, sing solos, and it was encouraging and inspiring to me, to see that if they could do it, then I could do it too.
Wow. Now, not only do you have the music side, but you got paper that you graduated. You're a graduate of the University of Michigan with a bachelor's in business administration. You're also a part of the Michigan Gospel Chorale. How did your college years impact your relationship with God?
Oh man, that's really where it was solidified for me. I thank God for my experience on campus, and to God be the glory. But there were campus ministries that were associated with the school, like student groups. But there were also campus ministries for the church that I attended, Messiah's Temple, in Ypsilanti, while I was in school. And so it was just having that community of believers around me and being in a place where I really needed my faith and really needed to trust God, I would say that that is really what helped me grow into my own. Because at home, I always went to church with my family. Like I said, it was a normal part of our life. If my heart wasn't in it, it would have been a ritual. But my heart was in it. And so I was able to carry that same love and passion for God, the things of God, to the church that I attended when I was in school, but also being part of on campus ministries and the Michigan Gospel Chorale, which is a choir, but is also an on campus ministry for all intents and purposes. The prayer meetings we had, the testimonies we shared, just the amazing opportunities to praise God together all over the country.
The other thing I'm excited about for you, Brianna, when you graduated from college, you had no debt. Talk
Yes.
about that and how you were able to go through 4 years of college and be debt free before Biden came along wiping out debt.
Yes, well, it really takes my mom to tell the story, believe me, because she was my prayer warrior that prayed that miracle down. We got to a point, I had a lot of scholarships going into it, thank the Lord. My grades were pretty good all through high school. I always loved learning, so that really helped me excel in academia. But when I got to campus, one year, I had a little bit of expenses left that needed to be paid for, and it was just enough to maybe get a loan for it. I had gone and gotten information about the loan, was about to apply for the loan, and lo and behold, I received a letter from my school about a scholarship that I received, and it literally
Wow.
covered the rest. So when you put a petition before God, and that's exactly what she did, is she asked God to allow me to leave that school debt free. And sometimes it might look like it's not going to happen, but I'm telling you, what is real is what God says.
If I could borrow something from Helen Baber, I had a praying mother. You know, she said grandmother, but
Oh,
we
yes,
we we know. Well, your grandmother wasn't no joke neither because she knew how to pray. Both of your grandmothers,
that's
yeah.
right.
You also you were recently certified as a life coach. Talk a little bit about why becoming a life coach was important to you in helping you find your vision and purpose.
Yes, I'm going to try not to get choked up, but I had been looking for an opportunity to grow and stretch myself. And so I went through a 3-day coach training through the CAP Institute, the Coaching and Positive Psychology Institute. And I'm on like the second day of the training, and it felt so natural for me. It really does come naturally to me, and it energizes me when I'm coaching others. Um, but I'm on this second day of training, and I had no intention of going for the full certification, but I just felt God drop in my spirit that this was not just for me to grow, this was for me to help his daughters and support and partner with other men and women of God who want to grow and stretch themselves and really live the word of God that says, with God, all things are possible.
Well, let me get some bump music going. You preaching right now. With God, all things are possible.
That's right.
You're about to enter another phase of your educational career. How exciting is this next chapter of your life? And talk a little bit about what it's going to be.
Extremely, extremely. So I mentioned that my coaching certification is through the Coaching and Positive Psychology Institute. And that's where I was originally introduced to positive psychology, which is the study of human flourishing. It's about how we as humans can thrive and create more happiness in our lives. I had no intention, again, of going any further or any deeper into the research around positive psychology. I learned a lot of wonderful things in the coaching certification. But just as my career started to, I don't know what to say, but I really got to the point where I was doing the kind of work that I can see myself doing for the rest of my career and just continuing to stretch. and elevate my impact in that profession and customer experience. And so the more that I sought out opportunities to grow in my customer experience knowledge and capabilities, I started to see that tie in from positive psychology, because customer experience is all about creating products and services and experiences that help make people's lives happier. we, we try to create the happy path on the customer journey. And so it really just felt just right. Like it was just the right fit for me to extend my academic career through positive psychology. So I will be attending the University of Pennsylvania for my Master of Applied Positive Psychology.
You know, I am super duper proud of you.
Thank you.
I love talking with you. You and I talk customer experience all the time, and even how that kind of fits into the church world, how
Yes.
to kind of bridge the differences, not the differences, but how to bridge things that we learn in the business world into the church world. We are talking with Briana Donaldson, my niece, singer, songwriter, worship leader. Awesome. You know, we get blessed every time she touches the mic in our home church. She just blows us
Oh,
away.
bless
So let's go back to talk a little bit more about Disney.
you. Yes.
Which live action Disney remake has been the best so far?
Oh, man.
Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, Cinderella with Brandy, or The Lion King?
Okay, I feel like this is not fair. This is not fair. Man, because you gave me a multiple choice question. This is hard. I would have to go with Cinderella with Brandy, and that is because it is the one that I probably have the most memories of. The other live action films were nice, but none of them really sat with me like Cinderella. Probably because I'm a singer and I can appreciate Brandy.
You know, people consider Brandy the vocal Bible because a
Yes.
lot of the stuff that she does. Now, I know you were raised in the church. Don't tell me you was over there listening to Brandy a little bit on the side.
Yes, I have listened to some Brandy, and I can appreciate any time I feel like there is an influence rising out of my voice.
At our local church, Greater Christ Temple in Ferndale, Michigan, we are weekly amazed at how God uses you during praise and worship. I mean, I've known you, but there's something different that's going on right now. When did you realize God was using your gift and allowing it to make room for you?
Yes. Um, as you're saying, you're amazed. I am equally amazed every week. And I believe that there comes a time in your life where you start to bloom, and you start to feel more comfortable in the lane that God put you in.
Mhm.
And that's really what I sense from my gift as well. It's interesting. A friend of mine told me, you never fully let go when you sing. And I somewhat didn't agree because I had never experienced what that felt like for me. But now, and they're really my prayer every time that I touch the microphone is God, give us a new experience today. Show up in a way that we have never experienced your presence before. And it's really more of a relinquishing of control and allowing Him to just lead that service and use my gift. But I often tell people, if you feel like you need to find your place in the world, if you are trying to figure out where you belong, you have to start using your gift, because your gift is what makes room for you. Your gift is what people remember, and your gift is what allows you to relinquish that control and experience God flourishing and blooming that gift that He's given you into something special.
You know, I was at a concert you were doing with uh, his name slips right now. I
John.
just John Player. That's it, John Player. And in 2 minutes, you took us somewhere. I mean, I'm sitting here like, what just happened? Why am I crying in worship all of a sudden? I mean, I went from on my phone to like, oh my God, I'm in tears. But you have that impact, and not just in our church, but in seeing you out in different places. The anointing that's on your life is just amazing, amazing, and I'm so happy to see the legacy that has been passed down to you, and how God is using your gift, and how even again beyond the four walls, which kind
Mhm.
of leads us to my next question. I want to talk about your single "In You," which is your first single. From the first time I heard it, I told you that I was mesmerized by the song and blown away by your writing talents. And others have told you the same thing, like, this is my wind down song. Now, this is what I need to listen to when I get off of work at the end of the day. Talk a little bit about the story behind the song and the impact the song has had since being released.
Yes. In You is it really is a song that can travel across time. I wrote this song in 2014, and the fact that it is more impactful today than it was in 2014 just absolutely blows my mind every time. It was that juxtaposition of leaving a place where I was surrounded by believers. When I was in school, I surrounded myself with people who wanted to worship God, in the Michigan Gospel Chorale, attending church. And so my friend groups pretty much were filled with people who believed in God and put their trust in Him. And when I started working full time, I started to see that that was
Ooh.
not the case for everyone. And it just amazed me how many people put their trust in the job, how they longed for specific companionships and partnerships and promotions, and got to have this kind of house, got to have this kind of car, and that's the only way I can be happy and have the best that life has to offer. And it really inspired me, to start to peel back those layers of recognizing that everything in this earth is, and if your trust is not in the only one who is eternal, you are at some point in life going to be disappointed.
Wow. Let's talk about your follow-up single, "My First Love." Talk about that one a little bit.
Yeah, so my first love is, it's almost like a part two. I believe this was also early 20 teens. I want to say in 20 like 12, I wrote a poem, um, from God to myself for Valentine's Day. And the following year, yeah, the following year, I wrote My First Love. And it was like the part two of me starting to deepen, my love relationship with Christ. And so that's been a topic on my heart always, deepening my love relationship with Christ and learning how to have conversation with Christ. Um, and so my first love is really just me sharing with God how I feel about his love for me, and returning to that truth that he really is the first person who ever truly loved me, and that's why I can love him.
Now, I'm going to be a proud uncle for a moment. When I did my first recording, I called you to come sing "God Dwells in Praise." You were the youngest singer standing amongst some of the city's finest. Talk about the experience of working with Unc for that session and with some of those singers.
Oh my goodness, that was amazing. First of all, to have, the type of people you had working with us, even in the coordination of the vocals as well as the arrangements for the songs. It was very challenging. This was not like, chorus, verse, bridge, vamp, we're done. This was very intricate parts and harmonies. And as you stated, working with, some of the very best vocalists to come out of Detroit, and with myself being the youngest and consequently the most inexperienced, it was quite a stretch for me. I remember being so nervous, having never done a live recording before, but it just, it came out the way it needed to for the most part. And I remembered the words, and that was success for me. I'm like, I remembered the words. This is great. But it was such a great experience. I learned a lot, and in the midst of all of that, we had a ton of fun too. I just loved the atmosphere that you created with all of the singers. No one was trying to be better than the other person, and everybody was cheering each other on. So these are people that are like my big brothers and sisters now. And so I'm able to say, like, I sang with those people, but also like just for them to be encouraging me, knowing that I was the youngest and most inexperienced was just a great opportunity.
Now, we can't talk about your musical journey without talking about evangelist mother Renita Donaldson.
That's
She
right.
gonna get me calling her mother. What
Yes.
type of impact has your mom had on your life and your music?
It is so, so impactful. She introduced me to music many times. She would be driving us back and forth to school or whatever it was. And she would always have gospel music playing in the car. So she introduced me to a lot of artists, CeCe Winans, Yolanda Adams, Vanessa Bell Armstrong, so many different vocalists and recording artists that I've had an opportunity to study, not necessarily on my own volition, but just having an opportunity to be exposed to so many different artists. And also, her singing in our church, her being our choir directress, she's been my vocal coach for many, many, many a
She been
year,
telling you what to do
my whole life.
your whole.
So, and she's always been there for me. She's always been that row parent as well as my dad. And they both sing, but for sure, just with us having very similar vocal styles, she does have a huge impact on my vocal style. In fact, there was a Sunday where I was leading praise service, and the whole service, I'm listening to myself sing, and I'm saying, that's Renita. Hmm, that sounds like Renita. Oh, wow, all of this was Renita today. Hear her voice literally come out of me sometimes. So it's an amazing experience to have your mother be your vocal coach in all things, music supporter. And it's also just a blessing as well for my entire family, from my dad to my mom, to have that type of influence on not just my artistry, but also my spiritual life.
So recently, I wrote a song called "Those Hands Prayed," and for the song, it's a tribute to our recently deceased pastor, Bishop Carl Holland. In writing the song, I always envisioned you and your mom singing together. Shout out to Brandon Holland, who put a great track together.
Yes,
We've
yes.
been in the studio working on the song, and I brought you in as vocal producer this time. Talk about that new step that up kind of pushed you into to be a vocal producer and being able to tell your mom what to do.
It was quite the push. No, it was really a good stretch because I've always been a songwriter. I can't even tell you the first time I wrote a song. I know I was early double digits. I probably wasn't even a teenager yet, quite yet, maybe preteens. So to have the opportunity to have more control over the vocals and the sound was just really another expansion of the gift that I've always had. Because I've always been able to write music in my own head with my own chords. So this was new. This was bringing someone else's God idea to life through the background vocals as well as supporting the lead vocals. And it was really fun being able to tell my mom what to do and not get in trouble. That's the key.
That's the good part. I want to thank you for hanging out with Uncle Carl, Briana Donaldson. How can people follow you on social media?
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram at Brie Linden, BRILYNDON, or you can follow me on Facebook, Briana Donaldson.
And how can people get your music?
However you consume music today, whether you stream on a streaming platform or you purchase your music on digital platforms that allow you to purchase it, you can download both In You and My First Love by Briana Donaldson.
In 5 seconds, give me a final thought.
Final thoughts: wherever you are, whoever you are, you have a unique and special gift to bring to the world. So don't leave here without leaving it here.
Woo! You better be careful because your mama gonna preach that. Thank you so much, Bree, for hanging out with Uncle Carl on the Carl B. Phillips Show. Again, I am Carl B. Phillips. Thank you for listening to the Carl B. Phillips Show. Remember to work like you don't need the money, love like you've never been hurt, and dance like no one's watching you. God bless until we meet again.
The Carl B. Phillips Show.
Thank you for listening to the Carl B. Phillips Show. For more information, go to carlbphillips.com.
The Carl B. Phillips Show.
Follow Carl B. Phillips on Instagram so we can stay in contact with each other.